if I'm marketing a $20 million house, the buyers of that house might not be local people. It might be Saudis, Russians, or Chinese who are investing a lot of money. So I need to go after them, and how do I go after them? It's going to cost me more money because I have to market in those countries.
Gotcha.
The company that I'm with right now is affiliated with Christie's Great Estates, which is why I chose to join that company. Because when I market something, I don't market it just nationally. I market it globally. So yes, there's sometimes, obviously, when the Spelling Mansion, which is Aaron Spelling, who was the mega producer, who passed away.
I saw that a little while back about.
My company sold his house, and they spent. I mean, that was a $150 million sale. They must have spent, I want to say, probably $150,000 in marketing. Obviously, you're not going to spend that on a $1 million house.
I'll tell you what. I mean, we have some decent sales volume here, but we sell one of them. I mean, Josh, we could take off for the year.
So one house is
I could take off for the year. Anyway.
All right, so I had some other stuff here. As far as you said before about it's all about who you talk to, who you meet, and who likes you and who's going to spread your name around. So I guess as far as networking and building relationships with other business owners and other potential clients, networking, how big is that on your to-do list on a daily basis?
Oh, it's extremely important. I mean, the most important thing when you're a realtor is letting people know what you do. I mean, how many people have been in a room and their friend introduced them to one of their friends and they say, "Oh, you're an agent? I just bought a house," and you want to strangle your friend for not saying, "What am I, Buckus over here?
Yeah, right.
Why didn't you tell them to use me?" So you got to be out there. You got to get your cards out to everybody. I have two jobs. My first job is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the office selling houses. My second job is 8 p.m. till about midnight, sometimes 2 in the morning, where I'm at restaurants schmoozing, where I'm at clubs, rubbing shoulders with wealthy young Hollywood. It's a lifestyle job.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I tell people this all the time. I mean, friends that don't know the business. I said, perception's everything, and the way you dress. I mean, you got to be ready for a transaction, or you got to be ready at any point to meet a new client.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's something that I also talk about a lot, which is you don't have to go out and buy an expensive car, but get your car clean. Keep some extra bottles of water in it, so when you're driving people around, they feel like they're getting the A-plus treatment. When you're showing a house, dress like you can afford that house, because who else is going to invest in a house and let you represent their money if it looks like you can't even afford that house?
Oh, absolutely.
So even if you go buy one suit, it doesn't have to be fancy, and get a car wash, you know what I mean? You don't have to do it on the level that I'm doing it, but that it's just little things like that which make people feel good, and they feel like $1 million, and when they're looking at houses, they feel good.
Oh, absolutely. And I had a conversation a little bit earlier about this, and actually on some previous shows. You can't. When we first got into real estate, I mean, obviously we didn't have the nice cars. I went out and got myself a car right away. Now, not a brand new expensive car, but something that is decent looking, because you can't drive up to a $600,000 and $700,000 house in this area, with a car you bought for $2,000, because they're not going to feel that you're successful and you're not a successful realtor and can give them the experience and the dedication that they need.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've borrowed my friend's car, especially when serious buyers in town. I'll call up one of my wealthy clients. I'll go borrow his Rolls Royce and pretend it's mine. I mean, whatever you got to do.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so I mean, we talked about some other stuff. We haven't really touched on the show at all. So, I mean, how did you get into getting onto the $1 Million Listing show? Because I've been watching the show for years, and I saw when you came on and you replaced the other guy. And I mean, what did they come in and come to you, or did you send in an audition? I mean, how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so it's a funny story because I had never watched the show before I was on it. Since then, I now watch the past seasons, and I get a kick out of it. Trust me, I would have loved to have been on it earlier.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, so anyways, they had approached me because I guess when that guy had left, Chad, who was the third guy at that point, and they were looking for somebody to mix it up. I at that time, did a couple key sales with some pretty well-known celebrities, one of them being Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
And I was, so I was in the paper a lot at that time, and I guess I just got a call, went in there, and, It's on a show like that. It's not you go in and you try to get the part. It's they knew what they wanted, and I fit the mold perfectly, so that's what it was.
Being in the public eye after you got on the show, I'm sure you were already in the public eye, but I mean, being on the show, do you feel like that has even increased your sales volume even more drastically?
Oh, absolutely. You guys sitting down, I'll tell you what I've sold this year so far.
I think we're going to fall over.
I was following you in the beginning of the year, and I think you were, the last time I looked, I think it was up to, I think it was 50 million in the first, like, four months or something?
Yeah. Yeah, so we just closed out. We have sold 160 million so far. And we got about another 20 in escrow, so we'll close out at about 180 million. For this
that's
year.
beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm a very competitive person, and we have statistics that we can go onto our MLS and we can look who's doing what and see where we rank, compared to the top people. And the very top person in our area, in our Lehigh Valley, MLS, the top person was Stephen, 30 million, I think.
30 million
guy,
sold so far.
That person in LA, if you bought him here and he was the top person, it's all relative. He would be up in above 100 million easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a company in our local area that has been dealing with nothing but pretty much $1 million listings, and that's all they typically sell. So realistically, she probably sold, maybe 6 properties over the year.
The thing is, I mean, this year so far, I've sold close to 17 homes. Now, the average sales volume on those, I mean, we're talking maybe 190, 200,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if I sell 17 homes in LA,
Yeah, exactly. So,
but the difference is getting into that market. I mean, it must be. I can't even imagine how many people try to go to Los Angeles and do whatever, be successful at any of the different businesses that you can have there.
Yeah, I mean, you see people come and go all the time. Everybody thinks, and every realtor thinks they're going to, especially ones that watch the show, that they're going to move out here and they're going to make millions of dollars, and literally 6 months later they're back on the plane or bus or however they got here. It's not easy. It's extremely cutthroat. People will, I always say in the entertainment industry, they'll stab you in the back. In the real estate industry here, they'll stab you in the front. They don't even care if you're right there.
Hey, we have that. We got it here, even with the smaller numbers. I mean, somebody will look right in the face and tell you, I'm taking that listing.
Oh, absolutely. I have a quick question for you. So the lower price homes, let's say the $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 condos as opposed to the $15 million homes. Do you feel like to deal with those clientele, is there a big difference between the two?
Yeah, there is a difference. And by the way, some of my favorite sales and some of the favorite people that I've met being in this business have been doing those, came from those $700,000, $800,000 condos or $1 million houses, those starter homes, because those are people who are my age. They're buying their first home to be part of that experience, to hand over the keys and see the smile on their face, and then you're friends for life. So I love doing that. When you start dealing with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that can write these enormous checks for $50 million or whatever it is,
right,
you better be on your A game. It's not a sales gig at that point anymore. It's now turned into, you better be an expert at what you do. You better know, if you're showing this house, every house on that street that's sold in the past 10 years, why it's sold, what's good about it. You got to show them the value, as opposed to the emotional buy when you're dealing with someone who's spending $1 million and buying their first house, and they say, "Oh, honey, I love this. Let's get it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Complete sense, because I was going to say the same thing here. I mean, when you have the wealthier people buying homes, I mean, and the thing with the Lehigh Valley, I mean, once you get over 600,000, those buyers, most of them are coming from out of town, New York or New Jersey. They're not kind of in house. But yeah, I mean, when you get up into that price range, it's a different caliber of who you're dealing with.
Yeah, where you guys are, it's kind of. I went to Syracuse. That's where I went to.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you're from the East Coast, huh?
Yeah. I'm an East Coast guy. I'm from Boston, so I know the area that you guys are in pretty well, and it's pretty comparable to. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Those are pretty expensive areas out there too.
Upstate New York, all that.
Back to the show. Now, for the show, I watched the show, and